Everyone, to this World Tour Wrap event from Salesforce Marketing Cloud Developers Group. Excited to be here. Excited so many people could join as well. Today we have a lineup of four speakers, and it's going to be a bit more of a conversational event as well. So we'll try and get you involved and take some of your takeaways, key takeaways from the Agenforce World Tour Sydney that happened last month. We have Keely presenting today on his key takeaways on the Marketing Cloud keynote, then followed by Josephine, Adam, and Matt. So this should take about half an hour, 40 minutes. And right after that, we will open up the room for everyone else to share their key takeaways as well. So please be prepared. Any questions as well, please use the chat. In the meantime, we also have two new community group leads that have joined Marketing Cloud Community SFMC DG group. So welcome. I will pass on to Oana to introduce herself as the new community group lead. Over to you, Oana.
Hey all. I think I know some of the faces. Nice to see you, Anno. I'm solutions architect for IBM in Melbourne, and I recently joined as a in a way this past year on maternity leave, thing to get back into the rhythm of things and the industry. So I'm quite keen to hear everything that went down at Salesforce World Tour in Sydney. I wasn't able to be there, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hear about it from you guys. Any questions you have in relation to the community group in Melbourne, yeah, please let us know. I'll pass it on to you.
Fantastic. So I'm the second new community group leader. So my name is Keely. It's not pronounced K or Kai. The best way to remember how to pronounce my name is think of key to success, right? Key is my name. So from a Marketing Cloud point of view, I've been working with Marketing Cloud since about 2008, when it was still called ExactTarget. I've been in my current role for nearly 8 years, where I'm a solution architect and I head up a team of Marketing Cloud experts. My favorite Salesforce mascot is Ernie. And if you don't remember who he is, he's the badger who represents Trailhead and the earning of badgers. Get it? In my spare time, I'm an author. Last year, I published a book for technical consultants called 5-Star Consulting, and I'm in the process of writing my second book. This one's called Showcase Ace, and it'll help you ace your showcase. To keep fit, I like to do Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and on long weekends, you'll find me wakeboarding. And I'm super glad to be a community group leader, as I now get an opportunity to share my passion for Salesforce Marketing Cloud and being a consultant. So the first thing I'd like to share is my take on the future of marketing, which was a topic for the keynote, Marketing Cloud keynote at the Agenforce World Tour. So give me a second. I need to switch screens and give some slides. Hope that's changed. Is that changed? No. Give me a second. Share. There we go. So yeah, firstly, I want to say that I'm super excited that there was a dedicated keynote for Marketing Cloud, because Marketing Cloud's been dear to my heart for a very long time, and I'm super glad that it was been given a stage that it deserves. So the slides that I'm about to share with you have been borrowed from Salesforce Plus. So if you wanted to go see the keynote for yourself, you can. So the keynote's main announcement was from Steve Hammond, the General Manager of Marketing Cloud, who shared with us, in my humble opinion, the biggest news of the event, that Marketing Cloud Advanced Edition is available on Hyperforce in ANZ. Now, for me, this is a big deal. I started out on Exact Target many, many moons ago. And when Salesforce acquired ET in 2013, I thought, great, ET is moving onto Core. But this, as you know, was talked about for many, many years. But it wasn't until 2024 that it actually became a reality for North America. And now it's finally available in Australia. And why is this important? So the promise of Agenforce is that humans with agents drive customer success. And the challenge is that Agenforce is not available on legacy Marketing Cloud because, quite simply, it's a different platform and the data is not available. So Marketing Cloud Advanced, however, is on the Salesforce platform and it's underpinned by Data Cloud. So the data to power Agenforce is accessible and available. And you can use the data where you need it without the historical ways of moving it around. So the speed in which you can use the data is significantly increased. And lastly, because it's on the Salesforce platform, Agenforce and the power of agents to do the heavy lifting is available. I call it computing at the speed of thought, and it's going to bring some changes. So what you're going to see is a gradual shift by customers to what I'm going to call new Marketing Cloud. I've spoken to a few customers already, and it's really interesting to see their eyes light up with the possibilities of agents in Marketing Cloud on Salesforce. So what does this mean for you? What you will be doing will change. You'll need to get across the new Marketing Cloud and how it works. You'll need to master AI prompts and how to talk with agents. You'll need to be a Data Cloud expert and have an understanding of Salesforce Core. How you do it will not change. Customers will still need help with configuration and getting up to speed with things. They'll still need an expert to guide them and set them up for success. They'll need someone to add value by teaching them things that they didn't know. So you may feel that your job will change, and of course this is true. Who of you 5 years ago could predict what you'd be doing today? Your capabilities and offering to the market will naturally evolve with time to meet the needs of the customer. Agenforce is a great enabler, but you are what customers will rely on to get them where they want to go. So if you're worried about the future, don't be. You are in the best possible position to take advantage of the situation. So have the confidence in yourself to ride the wave of change. That is the future of marketing with Agenforce. So that's my outtake from the Marketing Cloud keynote. I'm going to hand over to Josephine now to share her outtakes.
I can transition to you.
Can everyone hear us?
Yes, we can.
We had a technical issue right towards the end of your slide, Key, but I'm assuming you handed over to Josephine?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you. Just going to share my screen. Alrighty, can everyone see a big blue screen?
Yes, all good. Josephine.
Perfect. Okay, so just a recap from Agenforce World Tour and my brain date. So my topic that I hosted was the future of Salesforce ecosystem and its channel strategies. And the reason why I chose that topic is directly involved with where our industry is going. And I thought because there's so many new announcements, specifically what Keely was talking about just then from the Marketing Cloud keynote, is that there is a lot of things changing in terms of channels and specifically for Marketing Cloud. Now, because we're all in the industry, either working as professionals or we might be on client side, there would be a lot of questions coming up with what does this mean to our everyday work? What's going to happen to Marketing Cloud? So I created this topic because I wanted to have a joint discussion with everyone to see everyone's thoughts and potential concerns as well, and just to have a bit of a further look into what some of the key points for Marketing Cloud that will be relevant once it's moved to core. So what you can see here in the Customer 360, you can see that Marketing Cloud will be sitting there as well. It already is. Growth and Advanced editions are already available, and it's all powered by Data Cloud. So if we have a closer look for Marketing Cloud on Core, so specifically, you will be able to utilize the data such as a unified customer view from Data Cloud. You will also have that 360 channel cross connectivity, which is a great feature to be able to communicate with the different channels that you have. You might have your CRM sitting in Sales or Service Cloud, and then you have your marketing channels, and all of that is directly natively connected. Now, this also means that you have access to Agenforce natively as well. So you can utilize things such as the campaign agent. They did showcase this on World Tour. And I think that's an excellent addition to Marketing Cloud and everyday work for companies. Also, we got Flow Builder. So this means that we will be able to utilize complex journeys that is directly integrating to the 360 data model of Salesforce. Now, this will be an automation that is similar to Journey Builder as we know today, but we will be utilizing Flow Builder instead to build out those journeys. We will also look at dynamic audiences. This is quite exciting because it's powered by Data Cloud. So this also means that we'll be utilizing the new feature, which is called Subsec Real-Time in Data Cloud, which means that you will be able to process audiences and activations in real time. Subsec means less than a second, so I thought that was pretty remarkable. And then finally, we also got the ability to utilize predictive AI-driven analytics. Now, moving on to personalization. So this is also a platform that us in the Marketing Cloud community have worked with or come across quite frequently. I'm specialized in it, and I personally love working with personalization. But this also means that personalization will be sitting on Core. So what we can see already today is that Salesforce Interactions SDK is already directly integrated to Data Cloud. So you already have that data stream available directly in Data Cloud from MCP. So all of your websites or mobile interactions are being tracked and integrated into Data Cloud. That also means that you will have your unified profiles and event tracking directly available there. And you can also utilize the calculated insights and the streaming insights for intelligent decisions. This also goes along in the same way as Marketing Cloud engagement, that it will have that cross-channel connectivity natively on the platform. And then finally, of course, Agenforce powered personalization is also available for MCP, as it is also called. So all of that Einstein predictive analytics, next best recommendations and decisions will also sit empowered by Data Cloud. So that was my topics from the Brain Date. I really enjoyed the discussions with everyone. We both had clients and also other industry professionals joining that discussion. And I thought it was very proactive and interesting. So now I'm going to hand over to Adam. Yeah, so there you go.
Oh, yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Data Cloud. Thank you, Marketing Cloud Group, for inviting us and allowing us to present. Thank you, everyone, for attending. My name is Adam. I'm a marketing automation team lead. In that role, I wear a few different hats sometimes, but I enjoy, at the moment, primarily focusing on running efficient Marketing Cloud teams. Today, I just want to talk very high level about a few key takeaways I had from the event. Personally, I'm very bullish about AI. I'm very interested in AI, so that will be my main focus. And I'll start off just by mentioning it was really pleasing to see that it's already here. So you would have noticed in some of the presentations, it's already in the core interface. there's already mechanisms in place and functions in place to use AI. So this is not some speculative future feature that will be coming. It is already here. It will obviously iterate and improve over time. But that was the important call out for me, is that we're here, and it's probably going to progress at the speed the industry progresses. So as the large language models get better, as the way we interface with them get better, and the innovations that Salesforce put in place, I would expect a rapid development in it, and it's showcased just by how quickly they already have it built into their UI. Another thing I noticed, it was mentioned briefly during the presentations, but I did notice the augmented prompts mentioned, and just high level, I really took away an emphasis there in how important it is to get the prompts right. Anyone that has used the current generative AI models will appreciate that the more you feed into it, and depending on how you feed into it, the better your results will be. So this really got me thinking on a new level in terms of the tools we can use through platforms like Salesforce to make those prompts better, whether it's augmenting it with fields and values we have available in our customer and company environments, or if it's tools that will generally make them easier to use. I really enjoyed thinking about that concept, and it's not just us typing in prompts to an AI, but we have tools available to enhance that process. I had a couple of good conversations about holistic solutions. I'm a big sort of believer in the holistic approach across all items. It's not just about selling the product. It's not just about getting something across the line. We want to be looking at what is the best long-term practices and solutions and infrastructures to put in place. So we're not only winning now, we're winning years into the future. And that leads me into the Data Cloud Foundation. And we all have some degree of familiarity with Data Cloud and the different conversations that really kicked off a lot from last year. Obviously, it's been around for longer. But the way I really sort of visualized and related to this and sort of had some additional conversations around it is, if we think about the way we use AI now, so whether it's the AI interface is within Salesforce Core or outside of Core via something like GPT, anyone can go in there right today and say, type me an email that accomplishes this, or give me an idea for a campaign for my customers under these parameters. We could go straight to GPT, do that now, and try and build it out in Salesforce, or we could in a similar fashion use Salesforce to do the equivalent with their inbuilt tools, which over time will become more and more efficient. But the real standout for me is, instead of having that generic power of AI coming up with content and solutions, if you have your data cloud infrastructure right, and you're using AI within the Salesforce ecosystem, you're going to magnify the results of your generative AI output. It's going to be able to access your customer data, look for insights, action eventually the results based on your data. So that to me was key, and I think needs more attention in terms of the holistic sort of process of getting the foundation right, so we can leverage AI eventually properly. And I enjoy discussions, and while we'll be passing on to Matt, I believe after this, it'll be great to see discourse once we finish.
Cool.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let me just load up the screen.
Before you autoplay the video, I might just say a couple of words. Hello, everyone. My name's Matt Cameron. I help connect people with digital marketing, and recently, like everyone else here, did the trip up to Sydney. For me, I'm in Melbourne, to discover more about what Salesforce is talking about with Agenforce. For me, I don't really know a lot about Agenforce, and I really want to make a lot of sense of it. And shortly after I came back, I put together a video about it, which we'll play in a tick. But I think the key takeaways for anyone involved in the ecosystem is, don't worry, your jobs are going to be fine. There's two aspects of Agenforce, or I prefer just to think of it as Gen AI, like it's just a large language model with Gen AI, and Salesforce to put a wrapper around it called Agenforce. But there's two parts of it. You've got to get data prepared for it. So that means you've got to be data cloud proficient. You've got to be able to understand how to get data into the cloud, into the prompt, and that's going to take some data smarts. I actually heard at one of the presentations that no data scientists are required, and it sort of freaked me out that there was that attitude that people aren't required to prepare data. That's just wrong. People are going to be required to prepare data and to get data ready, and hence, don't worry, there's jobs for us all. The other part of it is that we're looking at a solution which will talk to our customers directly without us understanding what's going on in the background. So I think whilst a thing called Agenforce is great at putting stuff together, we need to understand what it does, because our biggest, most valuable resource is our customers. And we can't afford to mess around with them, having essentially what is a robot talk to them without looking at what's going on. So I think good news for everyone that's a Marketing Cloud sort of MarTech tech guru. We've got a place in the ecosystem to help move this forward. It's not, and I think it's echoed with the presentation so far, it's not without people to make stuff happen. Gen AI is about making our best better. And it's even with the Agenforce promise, it's still the same sort of deal. So they're just my thoughts. Anyway, if you want to kick off that video, I recorded it straight after I came back from Agenforce or World Tour. I'm not quite sure what I said now. I hope it's on par with what I just explained then. Thanks, guys.
Hello, my name's Matt Cameron, and I help people connect with digital marketing. If you've been following along, you would know that last week I went to a conference, and whilst I hoped I'd post early at the conference, I haven't been able to. Just too busy catching up with everyone. So here we are again today with another regular post from Matt Cameron, and it's a tips. My key takeaway from last week is, and the conference was about digital marketing and Gen AI, is that Gen AI helps you get to better quicker than you would if you didn't use it. But for you to get to good, better, quicker, or get to awesome even more quicker, you need two things. You need to have data, and you need to check what you're doing and reiterate on the prompt to make sure that it's doing exactly what you want. And that requires time, it requires people, it requires technical expertise, it requires you knowing what you want the prompt to do. And if it's creating things for you automatically, you're going to need people that understand what those things that it's been created, the assets, the media, the programs, the campaigns. You're going to need people that understand what they are. If you don't yourself already, understand what they are so they can be checked. Because if you're sending something to your customer, it has to be right. Your audience, your customer, is your biggest asset, and you can't afford to risk sending something to them that's not 100% right. The other thing, and I think I was alluding to there, was data. Data on the prompt. It gives you context about what you do, gives the prompt context, and without it, it's going to be a very generic, bland response that the prompt is going to give you, the Gen AI. So you need to give it data, and that's going to require some data smarts, surfacing what's important in your business to make a difference for your audience. And that, once again, isn't something that automatically happens. You need to understand what it is about the business that's going to make a difference, and understand how to leverage that. So they were my two big key takeaways. Continue to share thoughts every day like this on the blog. Sign up if you're interested for more. Talk soon. And the blog is www.influencer.tips. Bye.
Fortunately, what I shared there it's not too different how I still feel about it all now. So yeah, jobs for us all, just jobs are changing. And I think the key takeaway there is, with all of Gen AI, the whole of Gen AI, we get to awesome quicker, we get to better quicker. We got a good base with Gen AI. We can use the prompts to build a good base, doing the hard tasks. But it takes a human in the loop to make it really good. And I think, that's where we need to focus. It's like that next step. And I think for Agenforce, I think that's where we all fit in. I think Key alluded to it earlier. People are interested in it, but need technical expertise to get it across the line. So they're just some thoughts that I had. Thanks, guys, for the opportunity to share.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you, Matt.
Go for it, Kate.
I was just about to say, so we've moved on to our Q&A section of the session. So this is a great opportunity for people to switch on their microphones and cameras and let's have a discussion.
It's also a good opportunity for people like Sasha that were there to share his thoughts, because I know he's got some thoughts, and Danny. I'm putting people on the spot. I can't see too many other names I recognise as being there, but guys, share your thoughts. It'd be interesting to hear what you think.
And if you're not able to speak, please use the chat as well. We'll keep reading the comments in the chat too.
I think Sasha's unable to talk at the moment, but he's keenly tuned in, I'm sure.
That's okay, Sasha. I have two questions to the group who shared their, views on Agenforce. First question is to Josephine. It's from one of the trailblazers from India. So when MC exact target is going to be on MCG on core, are we still going to use the AMP script and SSJs, or do we need to? Might be he's a developer, but do we need to learn something else, or is it Apex or something? I had no answer to share, but I just wanted to ask you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that question. It's a really good question, actually. A question that I had to Salesforce first is, well, what's going to happen during the transition phase as well? Once Marketing Cloud engagement is fully on core, or if a customer has purchased Grow for Advanced Edition now, the programmatic language on Salesforce on core platform is Apex. So that's the programmatic language that you will be looking at. Salesforce also using Salesforce Objects Query language, also known as SOQL, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah, SOQL.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the two that you want to have a look into. Now, when I asked Salesforce the question around the transition phase, they responded that AMP script will still be utilized, and they will be working backend to aligning this. Now, I'm sure it will be more information coming out on this as well. I don't know much more than that. But yes, to answer the question, Salesforce Object Query Language and Apex, that's the two.
I might have it a go at that one as well. I doubt that AMP script, as we know it and love it, will be on the new platform, purely because it's a PHP style templating language. It's not something that it's going to need to be there. Some of the functions are very templatey. So you're going to get those from Moustache, you're going to get those from handlebars, helpers to get stuff done, iterating through an array, which is passed to the content. But I doubt that we're going to be able to do those lookups like we might do in AMP script at the moment back into an object. I just don't see that happening, but maybe I'm wrong. So I think we'll get a different flavor of AMP script. We'll still get some helpers, but they won't be a prompt language itself. One of the words that I heard at the conference was convergence. It's a word, and that's all it is at the moment. But there's a promise of convergence. We don't know what that means, but there'll be convergence towards something. So there'll be pathways, possibly pathways for AMP script. How do we do this now in AMP script? How do we do this in the future with the new tools? That convergence, there's a pathway to move from one place to another. That's just my takeaway. Not based on any fact, just observations.
I think just to add on to that, Matt, I also, the one thing that I noticed was when we started talking about transitioning to core and what that future would look like for the legacy Marketing Cloud platform. I think it was Brendan who mentioned that they envision it as a gradual sort of move, and at one point you will not realize that you are already on the new platform, because things have sort of gradually moved. For example, if you have the legacy Marketing Cloud account now and you move to Hyperforce, there are things that you can do. There are things that benefits that it brings. But one small example is right now you don't have the ability to have the SFTP you can't continue to use the FTP on Hyperforce. So you'll have to channel all your file drops via an S3 bucket or something. So I think we'll go through that transition phase in the coming years. At one point, it will be pretty seamless. That's what they're promising. How much of it comes through as early in the coming years is probably still a question, because we know Salesforce has tried hard to even change the URL from exact target to Salesforce a few times.
I think there's some interesting comments that you're making there, Himanshu, too, because essentially Marketing Cloud really hasn't evolved since it was exact target. We've had Journey Builder added to it in the last 15 years, and that's about it. So the world's moved on, and you're talking about S3, and I know you can do that in Marketing Cloud now. But there's a lot of best ways of doing things that are going to be baked into the future, which sort of leapfrogging a little bit, I guess. So I sort of agree with what you're saying there.
So Oana has a hand up. So over to you, Oana.
All good. I had two questions. I don't know if anyone knows the answer, but one was whether Agenforce is available to Marketing Cloud engagement at all, or what you call Marketing Cloud Core, I guess.
Yeah. For Core, it is available.
Was that?
So from what I understand, it's not available, and it's because it's on a totally different platform.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well, but I thought I'll double check.
Yeah, I think just on that, there are certain things that you might be able to do via Data Cloud connected to the legacy Marketing Cloud platform. But if you talk about the core use cases of agent, like, hey, help me write this HTML, split my content block into two, those sort of things you can't really do unless you're on the core platform.
Wait, when you say core, you mean the legacy engagement platform or the new core on Salesforce Core? Oh, okay.
On the core, on the growth and advanced. That's where you can put that prompt and say, hey, I like the template, but can you please split this particular content block into two pictures, for example.
So for any existing Marketing Cloud customers, in order to use Agenforce, they will have to transition to move onto the new growth or advanced platforms.
I think that's the intention, is as growth develops and incorporates more features, so will Agenforce be able to utilize and expand on that?
I expand on that again. I think it depends on the use case. So if you've got predictive data coming out of Data Cloud, you can get that onto an object. You can pass it through to Marketing Cloud, Salesforce Marketing Cloud exact target, if we're calling that core, for whatever better name for it is now. You could pass it through, but in terms of creating things or doing anything in real time, it's not going to be available on the traditional Salesforce Marketing Cloud.
I think Sasha's posting some good call outs, though, that there is some availability through APIs and whatnot. But natively, I guess, is the key discussion point we're talking about here.
But just correct me if I'm wrong. As of now, the Marketing Cloud connector is available within Data Cloud. So MCE will be exact target. MC will be a source for Data Cloud, and then from there we will have the agents within the core.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tracy.
We probably we should have prefixed all this with, we're not experts, we're just trying to make sense. if anyone's watching this with a better point of view, please come and prove us wrong.
Well, I might add to that, Matt. We might technically be experts because it's so new. So we're on this call discussing it. So we're just not good experts yet. We're still working on it.
Working on being experts. Baby experts. Maybe it's a good word for it.
And Moana, did you have a second question as well? You mentioned.
For customers on Hyperforce, would they have access to Agentforce, or that's limited still, or none at all?
No, I think the answer is same. You do have the data cloud way of getting data from the engagement platform to the data cloud onto an object, and then activate an agent on it. But if you talking the native agent enabled experiences, that you can't expect from the legacy platform or engagement.
Interesting. We have a customer that we just moved to Hyperforce last year, just before I left on mat leave. So now they will have to move again in order to use the latest, I guess, functionality.
Yeah.
So it depends on the timing, right? You go, Key.
Sasha's posted a really good comment. Hyperforce is just where the data is stored. So it's just about the servers being onshore rather than being in Indianapolis or Germany.
Yeah.
Tracy.
Yeah, but I think with the Hyperforce, you had the free data cloud account that customers are encouraged to use over the standalone marketing cloud with Salesforce.
But Agentforce is a feature, right, within the Salesforce platform, which isn't available on the exact target platform.
Yeah. I think Tracy also has a question.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but I will say it out loud as well, which is just going back to the discussion around kind of rewriting things. So we do a fair bit of both SQL in Salesforce and SQL in Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud supports what I would consider to be a full ANSI SQL. You can union, left join, right join, lots of data extensions. SQL is really quite limited about how many objects you can have in a query and how complex that query can be. So are people, what's the alternative way we should be thinking about that? Is it like Apex where we have to do things in sequences? Is there an expectation that SQL will become more complex in future, do we think?
Hi, Tracy. I might try and answer that. I think, as we know, the engine inside Marketing Cloud is MS SQL. You can do unions and joins, but it does get harder when you get volume, when you scale out. And essentially, when you do start to really scale out, you've got to keep everything really, really simple because of the way it works. But to your question about what we're going to do moving forward, the strength of Marketing Cloud is you can map it to anything. That's a Marketing Cloud, SFMC. You can map it to anything, and you can use a SQL engine to do that mapping. So it can map to any enterprise system. You don't need a data cloud. You don't need a CRM or a data model that's already been set up elsewhere for it. I think it's a really interesting question, though, because if we've got to go to data cloud, we've got to use these prescriptive data models. How's it going to work when we're working with a Pega or a unit? Any of those sort of enterprise systems? Is it going to map?
Isn't that the whole point, right, of data cloud? So there's all the...
Yeah, but I don't think data cloud's going to support SQL either. It's still going to have a much more constrained way of writing. It's much more drag and drop in terms of the query builders rather than getting in with the SQL. So one of the things we're considering is where do we actually build those big complex business rules, and should we build them actually outside in like a Snowflake or an actual relational database and then just shove them into data cloud? Is that a better approach?
I think it's case by case.
Yeah, and also how I look at it, well, obviously depending on the use case, but you can utilize Flow Builder to build out a lot of complex processes, right? And then you can add Apex, for example, on top of that. However, you're not going to work as developer heavy as we are used to in SFMC. So it's just a different way of working and approaching it. Like, yes, you will be utilizing Apex for certain complex additions to Flow Builder, but Flow Builder specifically has a lot of capability to build out complex processes.
So I think of Flow Builder, I think of the things in Core as being a little bit less enterprise. And I could be totally wrong there, but is it going to map to the big use cases? Like if you're dealing with a bank or a global organization that's got a lot of transactions going on, is it going to map like Data Cloud and Core CRM? Is it going to map when you're using those sort of processes to push data as a pipeline? I don't know. It's a question. I'm interested. Tracy, what's your use case?
I have the same thoughts of you as you, Matt, but just maybe my sort of view is so from the data cloud perspective, there's different ways to activate the data. But once we start fully, so once Marketing Cloud growth or advanced progresses, once the features that we can potentially only speculate now in terms of how Flow is going to interact with that, how growth is going to interact with Data Cloud. That's the key question is, right? Is like, how is that? Because at the moment, it's a nice, pretty map with Data Cloud on the center of it all, and it's connected to all of the apps, and then you've got Agenforce on top. Looks beautiful, but what's that going to actually be in 3 to 5 years when we're hands-on? They've built out and integrated everything natively. Yeah, that's going to be exciting to see, but
because that's what we do in Marketing Cloud right now.
Mm.
We build an app. It's a data model. It's foundational stuff. How do we make it work efficiently?
Yeah, so just to answer your question, Matt, in terms of what we're looking at doing, I mean, I feel like particularly Data Cloud and therefore through into advanced is happy with modeling everything around a single customer view and unified profile and what have you there. But we also need to build a single product view and a single asset view so that we can then cross-reference where person A has a product and we want to cross-sell to person B, but the asset is actually already covered by person A. So we need to kind of do like some transitive joins there, which is, well, there's like 18 steps in our current SQL modeling to do that. So I'm just trying to imagine, like, we've been having discussions about should we move that model out of Marketing Cloud down into a relational database, or should we move it into Data Cloud? Like, where should it go? So we don't have an answer at the moment. I'm just trying to get other people's views on how they're handling or thinking of handling those kinds of complex queries rather than select into an audience type queries.
I get the question. I guess the answer to that is at scale where you need it to be to make the most decisions, make the most relevance. It may not be Marketing Cloud at all. It may be external. Those business rules might need to sit outside of Marketing Cloud because it's just would be too constrained. Even Data Cloud may be too constrained to do what you need to do and have those flow into the platform.
I might try and butcher some of Sasha's feedback here. He can admonish me later if I ever see him in person. Just reading here, I think, so I've got some high-level understanding of Data Cloud from the course, but I think what he's really emphasizing here, if I can summarize it, is that we can manage a lot of the segmentation through the Data Cloud tools themselves. So Data Cloud does a lot of things in terms of unification and whatnot, but it also does and can and will do segmentation. So if I'm reading here correctly from Sasha's experience, it might make some of the SQL requirements redundant if we can use the Data Cloud tools to do our segmentation and push that. He does mention as well that we can leverage Agenforce off the back of that, but that's a bit too fuzzy for me, so I won't try and jump in for Sasha there. But yeah, that's what I'm sort of getting there, and I think that aligns with sort of the big vision with the Data Cloud at the core.
I also think when this is based on what use case we are solving for, right? And what amount of data are we going to be utilizing in it? How often does that data change? So if it's something that we need to be very quickly reacting to because we are activating it in personalization, yes, we'll probably use more data cloud because of the streaming functionalities. But remember that we are also going to be utilizing the consumption credits. So if it is cheaper to do your modeling outside of data cloud, you would most likely do things like, when you talk about asset to person to products, uh, maybe that type of modeling can happen outside, so you don't spend too much on data cloud credits. And so I think that will become one of the deciding factors. Is it cheaper to do it outside, or I really
One,
need it, even if it's expensive, because I need to activate it straight away because someone's on the site right now and I want to
Just to
show this versus that.
Yeah, to support you there, I've heard a lot from clients as well. It's such a massive consideration, those consumption credits. But on the same time, right, it's going to be determined by what their approach to consumption now is not necessarily what it's going to be in a year or 3 years. So if they want to get people on the platform, they're going to have to get that part of it right too.
Exactly.
one thing on that, Himanshu, like even though if we do the data modeling outside, when we bring it to the data cloud, it has its own canonical data modeling structure, which is not as equal as the external, sources or where we do the actual data modeling. So again, we need to do the same things. Obviously, the consumption, it's money for Salesforce. So I don't think we can do something like cheaper solution outside and then bring that data into, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the frequency and the currency of the data,
Yeah.
which is the key factor, right? Like I said, if someone's on my website and it's going to bring me revenue, I am okay to spend the credits, right? But if it is going to be utilized for dynamic content in an email newsletter tomorrow, it's not as live data need. Okay, you can do the heavy lifting before bringing it to data cloud and let the segmentation do its bit after you've already gone down from 10,000 rows to let's say a 1,000 row.
I agree with you, Himanshu. I think that's perfect, working out. But that's an economy model. What model should you use if you want to have all the business rules in one place? It's sort of, I get what you're saying. Put it there if it makes sense, but don't put it there if it doesn't make sense. But then you've got a spread of all your business rules across different products, which is going to be hard to manage. And so it's an interesting sort of question.
I think, a good use case, if you do have a database separately and you already have unifications as happened there and potential segmentation, to utilize a zero copy integration to data cloud. That is also cheaper than to keep everything in data cloud and model it that way. So that's also an option to look at, but it depends on the platform, obviously.
But still the data has to come from data source, then data lakes, then DMO, right? We do the same process. No, even though the unification is done outside because it's cheaper solution or some other benefits are there, we need to bring the data or the unified profiles into the DSO and then to DLO, pass it on to DMO, right? The process remains same.
Not for zero copy. So then you utilize a data model that sits elsewhere. So Snowflake, for example, is an example of that. So we come across use cases quite often where there would be a customer that has their data warehouse in Snowflake and they are looking to purchase data cloud. They might have other channels within Salesforce, for example, Sales or Service Cloud. Now, they don't want to copy all of the data into data cloud. So then they utilize the zero copy mechanism, which means that data cloud is actually utilizing the data directly from Snowflake. Obviously, that can come with limitations as well, that there is certain things to take into consideration as with everything. But what it means is that you don't have to transfer all of that data into data cloud. You utilize it directly from Snowflake.
You're just reducing the load of streams or sources.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Sasha raised his hand. Sorry, Sasha.
Oh,
I can talk now, I think, if you can hear me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think one thing I need to stretch a bit is when you're looking at Data Cloud, and what Joseph was saying is right? So you have your Snowflake, and then Snowflake goes into Data Cloud. You still need to do all your modeling. You still need to do unification in Data Cloud. It's basically the data doesn't physically flow completely in Data Cloud and sits in Data Cloud. It's actually streamed on demand. So every time you need data, it's pulling it from the zero copy. But you still need to model everything out in Data Cloud. One caveat which is with Data Cloud and actually limits its use case currently for Marketing Cloud engagement is that Data Cloud doesn't assign you IDs. So it unifies IDs, and you need to give rules around which ID you will use as a primary ID, but it doesn't create own IDs. So what that means for Marketing Cloud engagement is if you have multiple data sources where multiple people, the same people come from multiple data sources, depending on your rules, you may end up with multiple records in Marketing Cloud engagement. All that will go away if you move that now into Core and use Marketing Cloud on Core. That's one thing you need to consider. And as I was saying before, the costing, I'm not saying the costing is a bad thing there, because you have to pay for data processing anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter where you process your data, you have to pay for that processing, but you need to get up to speed with the Data Cloud costing model for it. On the solution, and just keep in mind of that, and Tracy, with your Agenforce type of scenario as well, where an Agenforce can that apply to Hyperforce. If you use Agenforce now, the way you can only do it currently, and from everything I heard from the sessions, where that it's not on the roadmap and not planned that Agenforce will be natively integrated into MCE. So the only way you can do it right now is over APIs, but you need to consider that this is a significant cost increase, because you have to pay for the API call. First of all, you have to pay Agenforce consumption for AI modeling. Then you have to pay for the API calls. You have to pay for the API trigger, for the Apex triggers. And then you have to potentially pay for the API calls in Marketing Cloud as well. So there's a significant cost increase if you do that. And you need to be across that, what that will mean for a customer or for yourself if you do that. But in general, the future will be that Data Cloud sits basically as a bottom data layer for everything, right? And everything will be built up on top of this. And I can see that Marketing Cloud is probably the first product. Every external product will eventually end up in Core. So we're talking about personalization, intelligence, all these type of products eventually, most likely, will be on Core, because that will strengthen the entire integration. Because if you think about, and Keely was saying that, right, is ExaTarget came along and then got purchased. Now they built all these connectors and they didn't work in the first place, and then took ages to make them work. Now they're working and it's great, but they don't want to repeat that mistake over and over again, right? Trying to make connectors into external systems, which they technically own themselves. So they want to move that eventually over into the platform. So what that means is learn Data Cloud. Obviously, learn Agenforce. It's absolutely a part of that. But Data Cloud, understand DLOs, DMOs, all these, understand the language. There's a really great website out there to help you. The Trailblazers are good for that. But that, because that will, from a marketing perspective, will be the foundation moving forward.
I also saw, to your point, Sasha, I was in the Salesforce documentations the other day, and now they actually have written that if you're purchasing personalization, you will need to have a Data Cloud license. And that is because that SDK is already integrated to Data Cloud. So I think that means for any new customers, they require a Data Cloud license as well.
Yeah, and I foresee that maybe in 2 years' time, we're not even talking about Data Cloud anymore. In 2 years' time, it's just part of the base layer. You buy it and it's part of it. It's not like, oh, you need Data Cloud, because it's so essential. And if you look at other products, like instead of blue, look at red. Adobe does that already as well. They have their Adobe Experience Platform, which is basically the Data Cloud, right? So it's kind of the same model, which needs to happen. So it has been overdue for Salesforce to build something like that. And now with Agenforce, it's great. So yeah.
So then the focus becomes more on bolting on whatever product or apps you need on top of Data Cloud.
Exactly. So you basically plug. If you look at it, Data Cloud becomes like the motherboard, and then everything plugs on top of it. Oh, you want a bit of graphic card? You want a bit of RAM here? Yeah, you put reporting on, personalization on, marketing on, so on and so forth.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think any CDP, and essentially that's what Data Cloud is they actually bring the promise of that holistic 360-degree view of the customer together, provided you put the data in there in the first place. I just want to mention that there's another user group called Data Matters. So if you're really into Data Cloud, you want to learn more, there's some really awesome people on that. It's a virtual group, global group. So check it out. It's maybe we should try and put it in the link somewhere, but Data Matters. So another Salesforce group that's worth following.
But you trace it to your. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say, Tracy, for your use case, customer just changed to Hyperforce, went through all that. Now what? Now you can't use Agenforce. It's a bit unfortunate, but that's the reality.
I think that was Juana's customer example, Sasha.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I was halfway. Sorry.
Just clarifying for the sake of recording.
Sorry, what happened there? I missed that bit.
Sasha was just talking about the customer who took the Hyperforce route, and we were talking about how they will have to transform again in the future. But again, that question, I think, is more about the timing. There may not be a need for transitioning from Marketing Cloud Engagement to Marketing Cloud Advanced or Growth, because by that time the features are available, or it's so built in. Well,
yeah,
again,
from the transition.
That was a bold.
I'm going to disagree with you, Mitch. I'm going to totally disagree with you. But it would be hybrid. If you need to be on Marketing Cloud for transactional processing, you will be. If you need to be on Data Cloud and all the other fun tools for promotional stuff, then you will be. But I think it's going to be pick your journey. I don't think we're going to automatically go there. Anyway,
it's not automatically. And now we're running. Can I have 1 more minute on this transition side, because that's what I heard and talked about.
Absolutely.
From what I understand, and that's with a grain of salt because not confirmed or officially in any form or shape, but what the unofficial plan is to move in parallel. So you have basically your MC and MCE, your backend, which is the Salesforce exactly target on sending environment, will stay there, but be connected to both systems. And you basically start working in parallel with both systems and gradually move over into MC. That is the intention, as far as I understand that from that Agenforce tour.
Sounds about right.
Sounds perfect sense. Give it 20 years and we'll be there, but it's a long journey. But it can be
5 to 10 maybe.
Sooner than that.
Yeah.
Cool. Look, I just want to point out we're on the half hour.
Oh.
Great.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was really good.
Yeah, just one question to all the people who participated.
That was really good.
No, one question to all the experts who have idea on Data Cloud or MCG. Would like to know, everybody who is a trailblazer who doesn't have access to all these platforms will definitely looking forward to learn more. So requesting anybody, if you are interested, because I want to learn in Australian time zones. I am attending all the global campaigns or boot camps, but still it would be good if we can have something locally Australian friendly time zones. So Sasha, this is a request to you. I'm putting you on spot. We'll get in touch with you, but if anybody is ready to share more on Data Cloud or MCG, how we can transfer ourselves from SFMC exact target to core MCG using flows, that would be great.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a nice one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Great
Thank you.
session.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much, guys.
Great to see you all.
Bye-bye.
So interesting.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks all.
See ya.